party people. Well, welcome once again to the Party of One podcast, the actual play RPG podcast where the gaming table is always set for two. I am your host as always, Jeff Stormer, and this week I am joined by Ajey Pandey for a game of Bolt. It's written in all capital letters, so sometimes you just gotta pronounce it as Bolt. Bolt is amazing. It is a universal action-first role-playing game designed to be played fast, quick, dirty, and brutal. It is so good. It is clean, elegant. It takes a little bit from Genesis, a little bit from games like Cyberpunk 2020. It takes a lot of indie game influences. It is really cool and super hackable and really fun and interesting, and the story that we told with it was super, super good, and I loved playing it. Bolt is on Kickstarter right now. You can go back it. It launched about 25 minutes ago, and I believe it is about a quarter of the way funded as of the time of me recording this exact sentence. So go back it. Go help make it happen. There's some amazing rewards, tiers, all that kind of good stuff. Bolt is a game that I'm very, very excited about and very, very passionate about. So I would personally love if you went and backed it because it is a good game. You can find more information about Bolt as well as a link to the Kickstarter in the show note. Now, before we dive in, I do want to take a moment to say that this episode is sponsored by our friends at the Encounter Party podcast. Encounter Party is an actual play audio adventure with 6 professional voice actors battling through an epic D&D campaign, edited down to focus purely on the story. The game is set inside the magical gathering world of Ravnica. Every episode has been fine-tuned and honed to a science, removing the fluff and filler, leaving nothing but pure audio adventure that you can enjoy in about under an hour. It's a pretty good deal. You've heard cast member Ned Donovan on Party of One before. We played Spindle Wheel Microgames. It's one of my favorite episodes of the show, and I think listening to that episode, you can get an idea of the level of passion and joy and love of play that Ned and all the other cast members bring to Encounter Party every single episode that I think makes it something really, really special. They've got 2 full seasons available and a 3rd releasing this fall, making this the best time to join the party. If you are a fan of fantasy epics and top-notch voice acting, check out Encounter Party wherever you listen to podcasts. And for more party favors, head over to encounterparty.com. And with all that said, let's throw it over to me in the past so that he can get started with the show. Take it past me. Thanks, future me. This week, I am so excited. I've been looking forward to this game all day because we sat down and made our characters yesterday. I am sitting down with Ajey Pandey. Ajey, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. Like I said, I've been really we sat down to make a character for this yesterday, and I'm real hype. I'm real excited.
You have such a fun character. I was immediately after that, I was trying to figure out because this is going to be a very combat heavy game, and I was like, what do I throw against you that's an actual challenge? And I was coming up with air because it's
good, and that's what I wanted. I'm excited for that. So real quick, before we introduce that character, why don't you take a moment and let the lovely listeners at home know about anything you've got going on, what we're playing this week, as well as anything else you want them to know about.
Sure. The thing I got going on is Bolt RPG. This is the D10, D4 open setting agnostic RPG that I'm building that's, built for hacking, built to kind of port into whatever setting you want, with the real goal, with the goal underneath it all of just having the fastest action possible. Combat's fast, skill checks are fast, and it splits the difference between that kind of crunchy tactical combat you'd want out of Cyberpunk 2020 or D&D 4th Ed, with a lot more of the story game sensibilities you'd get out of Powered by the Apocalypse game. So it kind of mixes both. And then just goes, okay, how do we do that? But faster. I
am
so
legitimately
fun.
shook by how much, how thoroughly it feels like it feels like I can only describe it as you've read years of my tweets specifically and went, well, I'm gonna make this note here. This is for Jeff Stormer. This is for me. This is my game.
It is, in fact, for you.
Thank you. Thank you then, because this is a gift for me.
Wonderful. So that's the big thing I got going on. Also, I am on Twitter all the time. I tweet constantly about game design under the hashtag #TabletopChopShop. And I occasionally review other people's games because there are a lot of rad games out there now.
There are too many, frankly. We've reached a crisis point where there are so many good games. Every single day, there's at least one thing where I'm like, how is that so good?
It's will you all please slow down? I want to play all these games, and I do not have enough time in my mortal coil to play them all.
Yes, exactly. It is a real dilemma that I feel like people are being inconsiderate to me. So let's get into our game of Bolt.
Yes.
Should we introduce our setting first or introduce the character first?
The setting, as I'm giving it to you, is currently in scraps, but I can give you what I have because there's a lot of good background in there.
Yeah, give me what you have, and then I will introduce my character. We'll talk about how I fit into things, and then we'll mess some things up. We'll break some stuff.
We'll set everything on fire.
Good. That's what we're going for.
So I'll pull down the gain a little bit. So Bolt is getting designed with two specific types of setting in mind: fantasy, and then like John Woo, guns blazing, modern action. So that part of that is I'm designing two settings to go with Bolt, so that there are two settings to ship with the game up front. One of them, the fantasy one, is called the Chronicles of Niram, which is fantasy, like high fantasy by way of like Desi influence. So that's the big pitch.
It's a good pitch.
It's real fun. So we start. This entire setting will take place in one particular valley of the world, in the shadow of the capital of Kantana, which is the seat of the Bharasi kingdom, just one of the most large and wealthy and also corrupt and kind of theocratic and fascisty ruling government. But we are running into a very interesting geopolitical era with the rise of Birbalite magic. So typically with magic, you pray to a god, and one, that god is strengthened through your prayer, and two, the god is strong enough to answer back and grant you power and grant you strength. And typically you do that by writing in calligraphy and, singing these particular songs. But the Birbalites found a way to cheat the system a little bit. If you just do markings in an abstract patterning and use an abstract set of phonemes that you just memorize, you can get the same effects of praying to a god, but without requiring the faith. Instead, you get a little more control, a little more personal agency over the ether that powers all magic. And the rise of this technology in the past, 30 years, has caused a bit of a rift in this particular part of the world, as the people in charge can't decide whether to burn the heretics or to buy their work as weapons for overseas wars. And the Birbalites themselves can't decide whether they want to make fat stacks selling those magical artillery tools to this giant kingdom, or if they want to exploit the corruption and the bloat and the brutality of this existing system and try and wrest some political power of their own. So there's a bit of a geopolitical struggle, of which you are smack dab in the middle, as
I am
What would you call your relationship to the Birbalite order known as the Venomous Bile at the back of Birbal's throat?
So yes, my name is Bhavan Narayan. I am affectionately either affectionately or derisively, depending on who you ask. I am referred to as the id, not in a psychological sense, as an acronym, because I am referred to as the Incendiary Device. Yeah, right. I came up with that while I was eating lunch, and I was like, "Hope I remember that 6 hours from now." Yeah. So I am known as the id, the Incendiary Device. I am this order, the Venomous Bile in the back of Birbal's throat. Do you have notes about the Venomous Bile, or may I throw out some world building details?
Go nuts.
Okay, cool. Because in listening to your pitch, I really love the idea that the order that both the order that I work for and me as a person fall kind of squarely in the obliterate the corrupt old order and take their place and build something better. Well, like I said, it is the venomous bile in the back of Birbal's throat. Like it is the anger and the hatred of the order that has held people down and oppressed people. So they are the order that has sort of said like, well, we're going to actively like go after the people that are causing harm and like causing like causing suffering, basically. I am the bluntest possible weapon that they use to do this. I do not get called in to investigate mysteries. I do not get called in to quietly handle mishaps. Some people would refer to me as an assassin, and I do not like that term at all because that implies subtlety, that implies cleanliness, and that implies just a general like lack of showiness, and I personally don't value any of those things. The name the Incendiary Device feels right because I am called in when there is a thing that has to be done that requires kicking down a door and carrying a very large sword and smashing some things up. When that
and
is
accidentally setting things on fire too, right?
Sometimes accidentally. Let's not imply that it's only accidental. There's a history of fires that follows me, which is where that name kind of developed, and I fully did nothing to refute it.
Beautiful, and beautiful. Shall we set some scenery for this?
Yeah, set some scenery away.
All right, so this particular episode in the Trail of Flame that is your story, brings us to Seikharin Road. Seikharin Road is like the Royal Highway of the Valley of Barakya, except compared to the Royal Road, Seikharin Road has fewer guards, laws, and upstanding people, which makes it perfect for you.
Oh yeah.
We start in particular at this dhaba, this like roadside food stall that's simply called Nandini's Place. You personally, for the audience, one of the things that every character in Bolt gets is a skill called Recall Interest, where that interest can be literally anything the player decides. Jeff, what was your interest that you gave for Bhavan?
I wrote down diner food, but I think I want to like streamline that straight up into street food because that feels right. Like that feels like that is specifically the food, the interest that I have.
Which means you have a personal hatred of this place because you personally know that Nandini's Place, the food's terrible. The upma is gritty. The churda is soggy. The chai they serve is cold and bland. It's miserable. A clever person...
That is personally upsetting to me.
Absolutely. A clever person would think, there's no way this shop would remain open. Something clearly shady is afoot at this place. However, you are better than clever. You are informed. So let's run our first roll of the game. So in Bolt...
All right.
In Bolt, you don't roll one die, you roll two dice. Typically, it's a D10, which is the dice you roll to see if things happen. And then we have the D4, which you roll for weird shit to happen. So
I love a weird shit dice. I need to say this I love a weird shit dice. That is my absolute favorite.
Well, then you're going to love Bolt because I designed the game to have a 50-50 chance of weird shit happening on every single roll.
In reading it, that was the first thing that like super jumped out at me. I was like, oh, that's so many like it means that you're getting so few just I do the thing and we move on. Like it's so often going to be I do the thing and then it's my favorite. Like I love it.
It's so fun. We're also going to start with a Recall Politics roll. So the way Recall skills work in Bolt, because I wanted to make knowledge skills useful, is that Recall skills aren't to extract information out of the GM. they are licensed for the players to tell a bit about the world themselves. So I want you to roll a difficulty 8 recall politics to figure out the racket of a guy named Jesta Shivan, whom your employers want you to disappear.
All right, let me roll my d10. Oh, that's a 10, so that is an 11, 12, 13.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to roll my
What's your
d4 to see if to see what happens here. That is a 1. That is a 1. Some not fun stuff is going to happen.
All right. So tell me a little bit about Jesta Shivan, because you know what he's up to and why he's based out of here.
Oh, Shivan is for sure in line with the people that I am traditionally sent after, and also explaining why the food here is not good is because the food doesn't have to be good, because this is straight up an embezzling. Like this is embezzling. They are staying afloat because people are dumping money into this mediocre cuisine. And yeah, I think that what they are funding is just to throw some fun on the table. They are funding assassinations. Like they are funding. This is where that money changes hands when the sort of political elite wants someone to disappear. This is where that money kind of changes hands so that it was not held by a politician last.
Beautiful.
And so Shivan has been directly, like, there have been several prominent politicians that have disappeared because, and as such, there have been several. I think the thing I want to add is I think part of how I am certain of this is, you can watch this is one of those restaurants that, rather than like a great restaurant which will offer 3 things and do them all to perfection, this one has a menu of about like 100 items and they're all bad.
Oh.
And every time, and if you watch the menu, you can see that suddenly there's a new item on the menu because they suddenly got a bunch of money and they suddenly have this new recipe that they're just dying to try, and they have the ingredients for it. And they've never made it before, so it's not going to be good. But like suddenly, like when you see like a random pricey new menu pop up, it's because a bunch of money has just filtered through.
Oh, weird. They now have lamb samosas. That sounds like a miserable proposition.
Sounds really bad. They're so soggy. Like the meat is absolutely like just kind of like adding this grease factor that it sort of feels a little bit like a McDonald's hash brown.
Oh,
where you pick it up and it stains your fingers a little bit. Like it's bad. It's not good.
That's real bad. Goddamn. So this place just makes you cringe in your soul.
Oh, I'm not happy to be here.
So you still got a complication to roll on that. What do you think is the bad news?
Oh, the bad news is that, like, if this place is funding assassinations, that means that, like, this place is crawling with assassins. Like, that means that, like, this place, they this has to then also be, like, a meeting place. And I think that's probably the part that Bhavin has no idea about.
That's very true. And even if there are no assassins there, if you set the place on fire, it will be known.
It will be known, and I'm not exactly subtle, so they'll know who did
it. You are called the Id for a reason, and the name precedes you.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, what does Bhavan Narayan look like when he's sitting at one of the tables, waiting for the right moment, kind of scoping the joint a little bit? What do you look like?
Very large, beefy boy. Large, beautiful, beefy boy.
Love to see it.
Beautiful kind of like black, a lot of black, but specifically it's very kind of dust marked, or probably more accurately like ash marked. Like it is a dirt, like fine black clothing, right? Like, like there's clearly money has been put into looking nice, but at the same time it is dirty, and it is the kind of dirt that like blows off. So sometimes if there's a burst of wind, there's a little bit of a cloud of dust that like pours off of Bobbin.
It's fitting that just like you are so imbued with flame that the ash follows you forever.
Yeah, it is. That is exactly what. And sometimes it's sort of that gives me the picture that it is this sort of magical thing, and I think sometimes it is, and sometimes it is the most non-magical thing of I just started a fire somewhere.
So I gotta ask, what's the mustache situation?
Oh god, it is very, very thick and very beautiful. I'm thinking handlebar.
Yes.
Yeah, handlebar
Classic.
feels right.
That is classic, like classic, like basic action hero, just a giant stash.
Oh yeah. I'm not thinking I'm thinking like down, like not into a full like Lemmy or anything, but definitely like all the way over, all the way down. And I was thinking about a soul patch or like a little bit of a goatee, but I think it's just the mustache.
Choice. So I will at this point give you a map of the situation, because normally this kind of situation would start with a little bit of the like scoping the joint, trying to be subtle about where you're going, but you're not one for that kind of tomfoolery.
No, it's not. I trust that someone else has already done that.
Absolutely. Where would you like to be? Would you like to be in the outdoor pavilion or the dining area? So
go ahead. I think I'm in the outdoor pavilion. I think I physically can't bring myself to eat in the dining area.
I can imagine. So for the audience, the way combat in Bolt happens, because we're going to very quickly start combat, is that movement is determined by zones. So there are 5 zones in this little map that I gave Jeff. You will not be required to see the map to pick up what's going on. What's with my mic? Okay, there we go. So there are 5 zones. There's the road, there's the outdoor pavilion, there's the dining area, there's the kitchen, and then there's the back room. And there's some doors and windows in between, which we will get to once people go through said doors and windows. But for the important part...
And they will.
And they absolutely will. I put those windows there for a reason. But the important thing is that movement in Bolt is very important. It's part of how the game's balanced. But I will refer to locations during this little actual play by, say, back room or kitchen or dining area or outdoor pavilion, so that folks in the audience can get a sense of what's going on without having to see the map in front of them.
Makes sense.
So you are in the outdoor pavilion, and you know that Mr. Shivan would be in the back room, which has a big employees only sign, where employee does not mean kitchen staff.
I think I think at this moment I'm finishing. I had to, like, I can't resist ordering at least a little bit of food, you know.
That's true. True.
I gotta at least I gotta give them. I believe in redemption. I believe in culinary redemption. It is the area of charity that I offer. But this bowl of chaat is, frankly, I'm not gonna finish it. It's just not there. It's not what I want to.
Do you demand to speak to the manager about it?
I'm eating it, and I think if it was any other day, I would have demanded to see a manager, and the manager probably would have gone through a window. But today I have business, and so I would simply have to give my criticism as I go. And I think as I finish it, I like crumple sort of a quarter. You did the thing. I do the thing where I take the napkin, I put it on top, and I crumple the sort of like paper bowl that it's in to sort of, you know, make it seem like I ate more of it than I did, because, you know, I am gonna be critical and I don't want to have it come across as mean. I dispose of the trash, and then I as I'm wiping my face and my mustache, I stand in the doorway and I lean. I just say, "Excuse me, I'm sorry to bother everybody, but could someone go just real quick into the back room and really drag Shivan out here, kicking and screaming, dead or alive. I'll do it if I have to, but I don't want to have to."
I'm
And I
gonna.
start to grin as I say that, just because I have a feeling that no one's gonna that.
The person you managed to grab is one of the waiters, who looks like this surly looking young woman who clearly isn't paid enough to put up with this shit. And she just kind of looks at you and says, "I have no idea who you're talking about."
And I think my posture softens because I think for a moment, Bhavin didn't really consider that there were ordinary people here or the people who weren't involved. And that kind of moment, they kind of, and just says, well, I would, just as a heads up, I would recommend if you have a chai break or something, I would recommend taking that break now.
She looks at you as if what?
Okay, and I'm like, you'll understand in a second. And I think I start to move towards the dining area, towards the back room, getting kind of rolling my shoulders, and I'm picturing as I walk through the dining area, kind of get almost describing it, almost visualizing it as an actor getting into the role, right? Rolling the shoulders, sort of mumbling some some vocalizations, okay, all right, this is good, this is fine, you're gonna do great, you're gonna do good, this is what you do. Okay, okay, okay. You're gonna say, you're coming with me. No, that doesn't. You're no. Okay.
Meanwhile,
okay.
the camera cuts to the woman you just talked to, and she notices the giant fuck off sword you have holstered.
Big Buster Sword ass thing hanging off my back shoulder as I'm whispering, maybe it's your time has that feels easy, that feels cliche, maybe it's nothing, maybe the thing I say is, and there's a lot of movement happening in front of the sword, but a lot of it is obscured by the sword.
And she just looks and I think, what's your vigilance? It's
My
9.
vigilance is 9, yeah.
So another thing for folks at home, there are no perception checks in Bolt. Everything's gated by a passive vigilance score. And with your vigilance, you will be able to hear the woman you spoke to just go, "Oh, fuck!" and she bolts.
And I kind of turn back and I'm like, finally.
All right. What happens when you bust through the back room? This I want to see.
The door tears open, shoulder check the door. It's it swings open, and I look around. I'm like, Shivan, I gave you a warning. I gave your people a warning, and I'm afraid I'm gonna have to do what I do now. I'm not actually sorry.
You
kind of for a second, it was very cool.
I imagine you burst in and give your speech before you really scan the room, and you quickly realize you are in a pretty tight space with Shivan, who's just this wiry looking, weirdly too tall guy, in clothes that are far too fancy for the kind of establishment you're at, surrounded by 3 goons who are all these just big, burly cannon fodder. For you, cannon fodder, let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think... I think your reputation isn't great enough that all the color in Shivan's face just goes. He looks gray like an undead, which you would know from experience.
Mm-hmm.
And he just bolts behind a table. And I think this is when combat starts.
And I think there's a split second. There's a split second, like once, like as he's dashing behind a table, like I'm like, you got me, goons, Shimon.
All right. I want you to roll a difficulty 10 notice check. So notice checks are the way you because combat in Bolt is a bit like a combat puzzle, more like. And notice checks are the way to draw out hints from your GM, like that big scream extractor machine from Monsters Incorporated.
Mm-hmm.
So give me a difficulty 10.
All right.
Notice check. A skills with acuity.
That's a 2.
I'm not going to ask you to burn tenacity on that.
No, that's not. That's not. Should I roll my D4?
Yes.
All right. Oh, that is a 4 though, so that's nice.
All right. So I'm going to say, what do you immediately do to bring this fight into your favor?
I think what do I do? Oh, I think I know exactly what I do, which is I don't think fighting in the back room, if it's like a cramped tight space, is gonna be good. It's gonna be the best for me. So I think there's a split second where I kind of like I pause and I'm like, once I was like, oh, you got me good. It's like, wait. Okay, let's do this right. Let's do this proper. And I kind of skip hop a little bit backwards into like the larger dining area. And I look around to anybody foolish enough to still be there. And I'm like, you're really going to want to leave now because this is going to get bad quick. just letting everybody know.
All right.
Okay. Let's do that. Let's go.
That's so funny. Okay, so you are now in the dining area, and these 3 scrubs are in the back room. So this is where we get to the initiative/action economy system in Bolt, which is weird, and I will explain it. I'll explain it for the audience as well. So you never roll initiative in Bolt. Instead, what you do is at the beginning of every round, every character claims a number of actions they're going to take, from 1 action to 3 actions. You can take up to 3 actions, but only 1 action can be one that involves rolling dice. So the advantage of picking fewer actions is that you go first. Characters who take 1 action go first, then characters who take 2 actions, and characters who take 3 actions. Things that take an action include moving from one zone to another, moving in or out of melee range, drawing a weapon, although not for you, striking with a weapon, pushing a big red button, that kind of thing. So I'm going to say all 3 of these goons are going to claim 3 actions. But
okay, I am going to...
Go ahead.
I'm going to claim 2 actions.
Claim 2 actions. Fantastic. This means you get to go first.
Yes, it does.
What would you like to do?
So just to remind myself, because I have the quick draw feat, drawing my weapon counts as 1 action or counts as no action?
0 actions.
Oh, then I'm actually only going to do 1 action.
Beautiful. What you gonna do?
I'm drawing out my big sword, flipping, like I draw it and I flip it because it is impossibly light and impossibly well balanced. This sword is my specialty. This sword is my ace up my sleeve.
What is its name?
Oh gosh, I don't even. Oh my gosh, you've caught me off guard with this. It is the suffocating breeze.
The suffocating breeze. I will also note that your imbue combat magic does require an action.
Yes, so I'm going to draw my sword and use my imbue combat magic on it to light it on to light it up.
Fantastic. That will be its own action, so you may actually want to claim 2 actions if you want to also swing that sword.
Yeah, I am going to claim an action. I'm the only reason that I was thinking of not claiming that was if they're not moving, was they're going to need an action to get to me. So I didn't
You
want
can
to
wait for them, definitely.
Okay, then yeah, then I'm going to draw it. Then I'm going to claim that second action to swing that sword.
Beautiful. What does it look like when you set the suffocating breeze on fire?
It you see the air in the room. You can see it in that kind of like in the way that you can see the heat, like you see that air start to wobble. You see like visible wind and visible like currents of heat swirl and surround it that start to like simmer with blue, and like they kind of simmer and crackle in blue until I swing that thing and it lights up in beautiful bright red.
Amazing.
But it just right now it just looks like it's simmering like a stove is the best way to describe it.
That's
like that kind of
incredible.
Just that wavering heat and those little crackling blue flames.
Amazing. What tags do you attach to your combat magic?
I am going to attach linger and ignite.
All right. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I will say your reckless feat will apply to any strikes you make with your flaming sword.
I'm okay with that.
We'll see what reckless does when you swing that sword. So immediately, 3 goons burst out of this one door, which skilled players would know counts as a choke point. So for this, I'm actually gonna let you pull forward your next strike check, which means that instead of a D10, you'll roll a D12.
All right,
because you have a slight advantage here.
It's important that I roll not just a D12, but the right D12.
Proper.
So I had to find my fire orange one.
All right.
So as soon as someone is through the door, like it is just there's a playfulness to it where I kind of spin the sword in the air and it kind of dances before I grab it with both hands and just bring it down in one massive forward chop.
Amazing. Make a difficulty 9 against the defense of these goons. A difficulty 9 strike heavy check.
All right. That is a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
A 13. Are you adding your reckless feat?
I am not adding my reckless feat. Is that an additional +2?
If you would like. It will not make any difference because you're already beat the check.
Yeah. I'm not gonna add reckless here because I don't need to.
Fantastic. So that's a 13. That hits. Roll your D4 as well.
Yes, indeed. That is a 2.
That is a 2. Okay.
Which means I believe something. Not good happens.
No, nothing happens.
Okay. I thought
unless you.
Oh,
took
you're right
reckless.
because I didn't take reckless.
So on a 2 or 3, no weird shit happens.
Okay,
yet.
good.
However, so you said you took linger and ignite, correct?
Yes.
All right. So you immediately strike down one of these petty guards, because for folks listening in at home, goon class enemies like the one that Puffin is handily dealing with now go down in one hit. No exceptions. They just go down in one hit. So you immediately strike one down in a glorious arc of flame. Go ahead. Yes.
I think I don't actually hit the first goon. I swing it down in front of him and just like immediately like I swing it down, and at first he kind of pauses and he's like, oh god, I'm on fire. Oh no. It's slapping the chest, it's rolling around, and I pick up the sword and I twirl it around, and I'm like, God, if you're not having fun at work, what are you even doing?
Oh, it's so good. At this point, we have 2 scrubs coming at you with these mean-looking clubs that look suspiciously like cricket bats. And these 2 burly boys are coming for you. What's your defense?
My defense is 10.
10. That's something. So the first scrub rolls a 9 plus 6, 15.
Who?
Oh, yeah. And the second scrub rolls a 5 plus 1, which is a... No,
6.
it's plus 6 for melee. So that's 2 hits, although one of them rolls a complication.
Okay.
So both of these do flat damage against you. Both do 6 damage, but that's reduced by your armor of 2. Both of those, right?
Yes.
Which means you take a net of 8 damage.
All right.
So for the audience, tell us how much vitality you have.
I have 14 vitality.
And for folks listening at home, that is an incredibly high number. The typical range is 8 to 13 vitality.
So I'm getting clobbered here.
You are indeed getting clobbered here.
And I think as it's happening, they're swinging. Like, I've still got the sword in hand. I've been twirling it. They've been bashing me, and I'm just like, and by the way, it's the yogurt to ratio. The yogurt ratio is all, oh God, it's all off. It's too much. It's swimming. It's swimming is what you've done here.
They've made Raitha instead of Dot. Miserable. Well, with that, it's time to claim actions again.
Yes.
Oh, wait. One of them had a complication. What would you like that complication to be?
I want that complication to be that, one of their cricket bats breaks.
I like that. It's
just
swing,
like
yes.
you get that big beautiful swing and it shatters and it like almost bowls me over, and that's when I'm like, all right, time to take this serious.
Can I make a pitch for you?
Yeah.
It shatters because you punched it as it swung at you.
Oh, that's so good. Yes.
So we see this swing of your metal-studded gloves, like, still leaving this trail of ash behind you as it punches right through the bat, just splinters and ash and flecks of flame flying through the air in slow motion. And now we claim more actions. These 2 goons that are left are going to take 2 actions. If you take 2 as well, you go before them. PCs go before NPCs.
I'm gonna take but I can only take 1 that would swing and attack.
You can use an action to aim, which will pull forward your next check.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna aim and strike.
Beautiful.
I think I'm gonna aim and strike. I'm gonna go for. I'm gonna put up a finger. Like, I punched through the cricket bat. I put up a finger and I'm like, that means I deal with you second. And then I turn towards the goon with the cricket bat still.
Amazing. Make your difficulty 9 check pulled forward once.
That is a 9 plus 3, so that is a 15. Woo-hoo! Not reckless.
What's your D4?
D4 is another 2.
Another 2. All right. What's it like when you utterly demolish the second scrub?
I spin the suffocating breeze and I catch it. Like, I'm doing a lot of like twirling it, catching it in hand, doing a lot of spins with it. And the fact that it's this gigantic, like, buster sword looking thing is buck wild. So I'm spinning it, but I finally spin it and I stop it. And I stop it on the flat side, like holding it on the flat side. And I'm like, if you're gonna swing a cricket bat, here's how you swing the cricket bat. And I just like almost spinning in a full circle, like carry it through and just...
Oh, you know what you do? You swing like an actual cricket bat, so it's underhanded.
Yep.
And it just goes right between their legs.
Oh, that's great. And then, yeah, so I carry them with the broad side of this, or like even the flat backside of this sword, and they just up, I'm going to say through the ceiling, like full cartoonish, like fully like Jackie Chan cartoonish. They go up through the ceiling and you just see their legs kicking.
Amazing.
And I say, and And now you.
And this fella, with their main weapon wrecked, come at you with raw punches. Does a 12 hit you? I believe a 12 hits you.
A 12 does hit me. My defense is 10.
And it's a 12 with a complication.
Good.
So I'm going to say definitely you get hit for 4 damage minus 2.
All right.
So you're in a rough place.
Yeah, I'm in a rough spot.
And they also rolled a perk. And I have an idea of what that perk is, and I will hold on to it for the time being.
Okay.
And now we get to our third round. This is the last goon that's left. And again, they're going to take 2 actions.
I'm also going to take 2 actions.
Beautiful. Make a swing.
That's an 11. That's a 17. And my roll here is a 3. So that is a 17 on a hit.
Beautiful.
I think what happens is we get a very classic action movie shot. Catches me with a punch right between the eyes. I steal up and like square my shoulders, and there's like a quick shot where it looks like I'm like 10 feet taller than this guy.
Oh!
And it's the classic shot where he's like, I'm gonna run, and like he turns and runs, and like he we get that classic shot, but then it kind of follows him and he stops because I have caught the back of his collar, and I'm like, no, and I just pop him right in the back of the head.
Can I make a pitch for you? Throw him through the window.
Oh yeah,
the dining area to the back room.
I totally forgot that there's a window to the back room. Yeah, of course. It's no, sorry. And then right through the back window.
Amazing. So that's the rest of the goons. Do you want to go grab Shivam here?
Wait, say that part again. You cut out.
So that's all of the goons in this party. Would you like to grab Shivan now?
Yeah, I would. I'd love that.
All right. Explain to me what happens when you nab this fool.
I walk up and like I walk up to the window and I say, "Did you get the message? If not, I'll hand deliver it." And I like walk around the window and back through the door.
Amazing. So you know how I mentioned that this goon had rolled a perk?
Yes.
At this point, you hear a second voice coming from behind you as you're in this back room from the door. And she says, and you just hear clapping. Actually, she hears,
God, it's so good.
Impressive work, puke boy.
Usually they call me the id, but that's fine.
Listen, I'm trying to make a clever joke about your particular order. Appreciate the joke. Do you turn around?
My shoulders sag, and I'm like, it's always with the joke. It's always with the joke. No, I do just as many jokes. I can't judge now. I think I'm like monologuing this to myself as I turn around.
And you see you would recognize her as an Abalosi woman, so black woman with a gymnast's build. So
okay.
Slim, but also like absolutely jacked at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
She has very dark skin. She has tightly coiled hair, tied together in intricate braids that mean something, although you're not quite sure what. And she's also wearing a gambeson, basically a jacket armor with this bright green and gold patterns, as well as vambraces across her forearms, like big metal vambraces, as well as 2 bulges on her triceps, which you can't quite pick out what they are from right now. Actually, no. There are these two bulges underneath where her hands are as she crosses her arms and just kind of looks at you. Actually, would you like to make a difficulty 9 recall person? Recall person is your one for recalling faces and names. It scales with charisma. Difficulty 9.
Yeah. Difficulty 9? No problem. That's an 8, 9. That's a 12.
A 12.
And my D4 is a 4. That's a perk.
Beautiful. You know that this is Misha Janai. She is also a Birbalite, although she is from an order known as... She is from a rival order known as 20 stars above the dying light of the gods. So for 20 stars.
Damn it, that's really good.
And you know her as someone doing the same line of work as you, except she doesn't set things on fire. She has a different MO. She's more of a duelist. But she says, "All right, now, I appreciate thinning out the posse here for this old man. But I'm afraid I must take it from here. You have my bounty. So, of course, I'm not so cruel that I won't let you give it up without a fight. So please, put away your lightning gun, and we'll settle these like proper professionals. What say you?"
And I stop, and I'm like, I think I just like I pause for a second, and then and there's a moment where Bhavin is like, sorry, Misha, I was trying to think of a clever way to like segue into the whole thing, but I'm kind of, I was already in a different head. You understand. You've been there. You get it. And I think at that point, like, the sword is already in my hand, and I'm just rushing.
Amazing.
I think there's just this moment of like, you get it. It's been a long day.
Amazing. Okay. How many actions do you claim? You are in the same zone as her, but you are not in melee range. And your sword's already out in a flame.
I'm going to claim 2 actions. I'm going to claim getting into melee, or I'm going to claim getting into melee range, and then striking.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. She's also going to claim 2 actions, so make a... You know what? She's going to drop into a defensive stance, and you're going to have to make a difficulty 14 check.
Okay.
To land a hit.
Okay. That is a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I gotta go reckless.
Or what you could do,
I hit it.
Or what you could do is you could spend tenacity. So tenacity in Bolt is your fuck you, I'm gonna make this check pool. Where if you burn 1 tenacity, you can increase your roll by 1.
All right, I'm gonna burn 2 tenacity.
Burn 2 tenacity to make this land hit. So you know Misha's deal. She has training in scrying magic, meaning that she has a limited capacity to tell the future. This is probably, you would know this. This is probably how she planned this. She knew someone was going to set this place on fire. So she figured she'd wait for that to happen, then come in. Another thing that her scrying ability can do is see a strike before it comes. So I think what she does is she tries to block your first strike with her vambraces and just try to knock your sword out of the way. How do you best her with this?
I think what I do is, I think, I really, really like this. This actually works really, really nicely. She actually visualized like perfectly, like she actually like has it in her van braces and is almost able to knock it out. But what she doesn't realize, because she can see the future. She saw the future to this point, but but can't interact with the future.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't she saw this giant fuck you sword, but the suffocating breeze is immaculately balanced, impossibly light. So when she thought through, all right, I'm going to catch the sword, I'm going to throw it out with the van braces, she was visualizing this big, heavy, bulky object that she could kind of use the momentum of the thing, or its own inertia, to kind of knock it out of my hands.
Mm-hmm.
So she gives it this quick twirling effect, and it just does not do anything, because I'm able to effortlessly flick it back into my hand.
Oh.
And at which point I twirl it back, and I bring it down in one big giant swing.
How much damage does your sword do when it's on fire?
My sword, when it is on fire, my sword does 10 damage. And when it is on fire, I have to look that up. It is increased by the base damage of the character's combat magic. My combat magic is, my wield combat is 2, so it does 12 damage. And I think it is
Is it?
I bring it down.
Combat magic or is it charisma? Did I say?
I'm looking in the mage pack, and it says combat magic, but that may have been changed.
Okay, then it's combat magic. It's older version I'm thinking about. So you do 12 damage.
I think I bring it down. She still catches it in her van braces, but there is an explosion of fire that envelops both of us, and there's a moment where I just kind of shrug with it. I'm like, yeah, this is another day on the job.
Amazing. So I'll let you in on a little secret. She had 15 vitality to start. So
good. Good.
And you've got the linger property going, right?
Yep.
So for the next 2 rounds, it's going to do, I believe, 2 damage.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Impressive.
I love Bobbin. I love Bobbin a lot.
He is a bad motherfucker.
Look, there's certain scenarios that Bobbin is built to excel in. If there's a lot of scenarios where if you were to put him in, it would be a fish out of water store. I'm just grateful that we're in the scenario that he's best at.
Amazing. And so this is Misha's chance to strike back a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
She draws her weapons, which they're called dustas. What they are brass knuckles that are also knives.
Oh, that's dope.
So it's if you were hold 2 knives in your hands, or they stick out the back of your hand, which means that you can punch with them, or you can stab punch with them. And they're unique in that they do double damage on a perk.
Ooh.
So that's
scary, and I like it.
She's gonna take a swing at you. 8 plus, what's her strike unarmed? 14. Plus a perk. I think
that's gonna hit and probably take, unless my vitality refreshes, probably take me out.
I think that takes you out, because she's gonna immediately do 10 damage.
Yep, yep, I'm out. I'm out on that one.
So I think she manages to immediately, she takes the sword head on, and is flung a little bit into the wall behind her, which is starting to catch on fire. Shocking of shockers. But she manages to block enough of the sword to draw her twin knife brass knuckles, duck underneath your next swing, and just drive one of the knives right into your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Which means you drop for the next turn. All right. So I think for her, the next action, she's going to claim 1 action.
I'm gonna claim if I'm dropping at the end of this turn.
You drop immediately. So your next...
Oh, I'm out. Oh, I'm out then.
Actually,
All
she's
right.
going to take 2 actions. But you have another thing you can do. Now that you're down, you are going to roll... Your next roll is going to be an endure roll.
All right.
Where you literally You literally roll to fight through the pain to keep going. So yeah, she's going to take 2 actions. So if you want to take 2, you can as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna take 2. I'm gonna endure, and then if I endure, I'm gonna punch through.
Beautiful. So with that, make a difficulty 8 endure check. The skills with willpower.
All right,
as it should.
That is a 3, 6, 7. So if I can spend a tenacity, I'm gonna spend that tenacity.
Burn, baby, burn.
Burn that tenacity. My D4 is a 4. Yes.
Ooh.
So I have endured and I've got a perk.
Fantastic. So you're still on the ground, so you might need to take an action for that. But I think your perk could be that her next check is set back once.
Okay.
You managed to at least get into a defensive stance.
Oh, I have a pitch for that.
Go for it.
I would like to propose whatever her next action is that I am able to with my just power through it. If I'm setting back her action, I'm not really aiming at it. I'm not really shooting to hit her, but I pull the shocking grasp of the Birbalites out of my holster. It is our traditional lightning gun hand crossbow.
Nice. And
I pull it and I kind of just shoot wildly, but in a way that's gonna force her to take that one shot into account and keep her off balance.
Amazing. So yeah, it works perfectly. She immediately has to duck out of the way, saying something in Ave, which you can recognize the scraps of, and it comes out to something, a kind of a word that kind of is a cross of piece of shit and coward.
I think Bobbin also giggles.
So also, now that you've gotten up, mark a wound.
All right, I will.
So what's going to happen is now all of your checks going forward are going to be set back once. You're going to be rolling d8s as a base instead of a d10. If you take another wound, you'll be rolling a d6 instead of a regular d10. And if you take 3 wounds, you automatically fail every check you take.
Got it.
Death spirals, baby.
Love it. Love a good death spiral.
So that's your turn. So on her turn, 1, she's going to take 2 damage because she's still on fire. So I believe you recover with 1 vitality.
Okay.
But with this, Misha kind of picks up that her gig is up because she is still on fire, and will stay on fire for another round. So she says, "You know what? I'm frankly quite impressed. Surprised even. But I came prepared." And she pulls out a small orb of incense. It looks a bit like a bath bomb, except the size of a Pokeball before it's expanded out to full size.
That is such a specific reference, and yes, the answer is yes.
So it's about that size before the Pokeball gets enlarged. It's 100%. That size of a bath bomb. And she crushes it in her hands. And she's just enveloped in this bluish, purple, a little bit green mist.
And I think as she is enveloping, I'm just so you know, likewise, really impressed. Really, really impressed.
Thank you. This will not be. I'll be back for you, as you might imagine.
Understood. Obviously.
But congratulations. You'll take this one for now. And you recognize. Actually, you recognize automatically. You know magic. What she just popped was the equivalent of a healing potion, except incense. So when she makes her inevitable endure check, because that will come, she'll automatically succeed, and she can just dip. Because this man that you've taken is not worth death. So she just walks out in this plume of smoke, leaving a bit of a trail of blood behind her, as she limps away and says, "Have fun with the fire. I imagine this is not your worst fire by a long shot."
No, actually, this is, I kind of expected more.
Congratulations on being stealthy, then.
Yeah,
Take care,
that's new. Till next time, Misha.
Till next time. Next time I owe you a drink.
Noted. After we fight to the maybe death.
Never to the death. You're not worth killing.
Hey,
I
you
would
know
never
what?
let
That's
a
what I
smart
like.
man like you die.
See, that's what I like about you, Misha. I turn back towards Shivan and I'm like, class act. Really, really great. Really just a treasure. Oh God! I mean, yeah.
I think that's where we close.
It's clutching my gut. Like, you ever been stabbed, Shivan? It's not great. What a good game! That was so much fun. Like that was, I loved every part of it. You got it exactly in terms of like that is so fast and like so much fun to like play out that action scene so quickly. It was wonderful.
It's like that was kind of the goal of one, making it like quick and engaging. Like the fact like the perk and complication system fits in of like, oh yeah, every once in a while this high level heal class enemy, because Misha is a heal class enemy, fitting. Like, oh, she can just do double damage. Screw you.
It's dope. It was well done, like extremely well done. I loved how easily it just like stuff happened and like it flowed so nicely, and it felt like, but it also felt like there was like stuff like options and like things to consider. I loved every minute of it.
So
it was
fun.
a great big fuck off fight scene.
Also, you want to know a fun little dirty secret that you can leave for the folks at home to listen to as well? Yeah. I had originally planned for 2 more guards to jump out of the kitchen.
Oh.
Just in case 3 was too easy a challenge for you.
Well, you know what? I really wasn't sure how. I'm glad you planned for it. I really wasn't sure how tough those 3 goons would be, but I feel like they put up a good fight. They should be proud.
They should be proud. Because like that's another one of the things I really wanted to hit home with Bolt was like, sure, they're goons, they're scrubs, they go down quick, but they still fuck you up.
Yeah, like which is very true to like. It's very true to like. I see a lot of fight scene heavy movie like influence in this, because like that is something that I think is very true to like a really good fight scene, is that you have these throwaway guys that like still like specifically like you see it a lot in like well done Jackie Chan and Tony Jaa movies where you have these guys that are there to have their arms broken, but like one of them will still punch Tony Jaa in the face, and like he'll get knocked back and he'll have a bloody nose the rest of the fight. Like it's there, that like it gives it a sense of stakes and like grounds it in like a very like real kind of way.
And it also means that when someone survives a single hit with your giant fuck off sword, it's a big deal.
Right. Yeah. It's and in this, it's exactly you're exactly right. It's good. It's good. It's good.
It's so fun. I tried to make like Hotline Miami the RPG.
Mission accomplished. Frankly. Ajey, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so
Thank
good.
you for having me, Jeff. This was a blast. I love Oven. I love the kind of like soft boy culinary nerd that also is a giant murder machine.
It's good. It was so much fun to play, and I loved. It's great. Bhavin went in unexpected directions, but like I love him even more for it. It's good. It was real good.
This is real good.
So, real quick before I wrap up, where can people find you, your work, and Bolt online?
You can find me at Ajey Pandey, AjeyPandey. That's my Twitter handle. I am also on itch at ajeypandey.itch.io, where you can get Bolt. You can get the Mage Pack. You can get a couple of hacks I've made, including one of a jet fighter hack of Bolt, which is extremely
Which I believe
fun.
Listeners of the show will note how much I love aerial combat. So we will have to get together and play that again.
It's got serious Ace Combat vibes. It's going to be fun. So that will show up eventually. And by the time you're listening to this, the Bolt RPG will have a Kickstarter, which the link will be ready when this shows up. But it will definitely be on Kickstarter with the goal of... Because currently the game's out. The rules are more or less done. The Kickstarter is to make it pretty and to have kick-ass art from folks like Nottum Go. I can't remember the rest of them. We'll cut that out. It'll come from... The art will be from absolutely badass artists. The layout's going to be amazing. The palette's incredible. I've already seen a couple of the pieces of the art, and it's... Mwah! Mwah!
I'm so excited.
It's going to be rad, and your Kickstarter support will help make Bolt pretty as fuck. It'll help bring these setting books to life. I'm bringing in some amazing folks to help with the setting. And depending on how big this thing goes, might put together an SRD, might put together more hacking rules, might get some folks to write their own settings. I'm so hype. I can't wait for this game to be in people's hands, for people to hack themselves into their own rad bullshit.
I know that. I know that feel because I'm already like, I'm hyped. This was great. Thank you so much for coming on the show. This was such a blast. And for now, I'm going to throw it over to me in the future so that he can wrap up with the show. Take it, future me. Thanks, Bass Me. And thanks again to Ajey for coming on the show. That game fucking ruled. That game shredded. That game was so much fun. I really want to play it again. Ajey, let's play this game again sometime because it was so good. You can find more information about Bolt as well as a link to the Bolt Kickstarter in the show notes. And be sure to follow Ajey on Twitter at Ajey Pandey. Then, while you're on Twitter, follow us at Party of One Pod. Like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/partyofonepodcast. Join our Discord community at bit.ly/partyofonediscord. Head to our merch store at bit.ly/partyofonemerch. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/JeffStormer. You can also, the other thing you can do is support the other show that I produce every single week, which is All My Fantasy Children. All My Fantasy Children is a character creation, storytelling, and world-building podcast on the One Shot Podcast Network. Every week, my best friend Eric Catano Saez and I take a listener-submitted prompt, we spin it into an original fantasy character, and we populate a shared universe one story at a time. New episodes drop every Friday-ish at oneshotpodcast.com. Party of One is produced and edited, as always, by Jeff Stormer and Jen Frank. All music for the show is from Infinite Lives by Megaran, featuring the D&D Sluggers, and the Party of One logo is by Evan Rowland. If you'd like to inquire about advertising rates, coming onto the show as a guest, or about press coverage of the show, you can reach me at partyofonepodcast@gmail.com. And I think that's it. So until next time, thank you so much for listening. Remember to fight the forces of fascism every single day. Remember that self-love and self-care are radical and defiant acts of resistance. And as always, party on, everybody.
Never gonna die.